welcome to Film Strip Sessions. This is our general topic show we do once a month or so to highlight things we're watching that won't appear necessarily on the regular Film Strip show, movies we are anticipating, and anything else entertainment-wise that we're into at the moment. I'm Jay, and alongside me tonight is Ron.
Hi.
And we are excited to introduce the newest member of our troupe here, Irina.
Hello.
Yes, she is one of my longest-term, longest-suffering friends. She is, I say it that way so it sounds like a prison sentence.
For which one of us?
It could be both things. But yeah, she's great. She's a lot of fun, as you'll no doubt find out pretty soon. Or, I think it's November.
Yeah.
But she always has interesting opinions on things. She notices a lot of details and things that I don't always pick up on. And it is a much needed female presence on the podcast. It's been a while since we've had a regular female contributor, and I think that it's not necessarily just for inclusion's sake, but she'll suggest things and see things that we won't always notice because, we're dude bros.
Exactly. And Irina will make your official debut on Film Strip in November. But with, again, after having recorded with you now and talked with you a lot, we did not want to deprive our audience of the energy that is you. And so, real quick, just tell folks a little bit about yourself, kind of what you're into and all that, and then we'll launch into what Sessions is.
Oh, a little bit about me. Actress, musical theater lover, but movie lover and television addict. And I'm kind of a sci-fi nerd and finally getting into some cosplay stuff. So that's fun.
Very cool. Very cool. So, well, like I say, we're glad to have you here. And I agree with Rod. It's been a long time since we had a steady female presence on here. When we started Film Strip way back in the day, Anna was a big part of getting the show launched off the ground, and then had to walk away, family growing and stuff like that. And so we've just never been able to find another person that jived with us and had good presence. And Ron was like, well, you gotta meet my friend Irina. And so he connected us on Twitter when I was kicking around doing something musical, and that's the episode you're on. We do a review of Chicago coming up in November. November's musical month on Film Strip, if you hadn't followed us on Twitter and seen that yet, folks. So glad to have you here, and glad to be a part of this too, because this is a little more free-form show. This one's, kind of fun and just sort of, again, for us to talk about stuff we're into, stuff we're excited about, and all of that. So let's not delay it anymore. Ron, we're going to start with you, stuff that you're into right now as of July 2019.
Well, I've got quite a few things that have caught my interest. One of the biggest things, because I just did a pretty long feature article on it for Den of Geek, is the HBO Watchmen series. It's basically what happened in the Watchmen universe after Watchmen, the comic book / movie, ended. They just released a pretty interesting trailer for Comic-Con, and I'm pretty intrigued about the show. I don't know. I have no idea what's going to happen, but the trailer in and of itself is pretty awesome to behold and has me very excited for it in a way that I haven't been for a lot of stuff that's been on HBO.
Yeah, let's just say, like, Game of Thrones did not necessarily end maybe the way people wanted. Is that a safe way to say that nowadays? And, internet rage was aplomb at the time. But I remember seeing the teasers for this, and I had no idea it was coming. So I'm intrigued, like genuinely intrigued by it. I was not as familiar with the Watchmen property when that movie came out, but a coworker of mine was, and made me read the book before I could go see the movie. And so I did and watched the movie, and I was like, yeah, it's fine, whatever. I kind of came down on the side of it was fine for me. But I thought walking out of it, I was like, I don't know, that might have been a better like TV show if they could ever put something like that on TV where you have a guy with a big blue penis walking around. But I guess we can now. It's 2019. We can do whatever we want. But, when it came out, I don't know that you could do that. So anyway, I'm intrigued as well. What about you, Irina? Are you into the Watchmen?
Just barely doing any sort of looking into it. Based on the fact that it's been a project that's been like 4 years in the making, it sounds like, I'm kind of interested, and I think I may have finally seen enough of the Marvel universe to kind of step into something that comes from another universe here.
Yeah, I would say this is definitely not like Marvel style at all, though. This is very dark place that Watchmen comes from and goes to.
Yeah, it's definitely a darker superhero story, and it's kind of a precursor to a lot of the darker things you're going to see in terms of comic book movies that are not necessarily comic book movies as they're being developed now, but like Watchmen and Alan Moore kind of set the whole, is one of the key parts of the whole DC is dark and gritty versus Marvel being, you know, fun and light kind of deal.
Right.
And, you know, it's a project that has been, the movie itself was in development hell for a good 20 years. DC has gone ahead and made a follow-up sequel series. They've made a bunch of prequel comics. And now I guess Damon Lindelof came to them with an idea good enough that they said, sure. And HBO said, we'll back up the money truck.
Okay, you just said a name now that really gives me pause. Damon Lindelof. If folks want to go back and listen to Nick and me talk about what we think of Damon Lindelof and the Prometheus review, it's all there, all 2 hours of the hate. I am not a fan of that man's work or the direction he takes things. So convince me I need to give him another shot, because that was like an immediate, for me.
Well, I mean, I can't convince you to give it another shot. I don't even know if it's going to be any good or not myself, but I'm interested to see, you know, how it works out. They had me at the cult full of dudes in Rorschach masks.
True. And
also you had me at Sheriff Don Johnson. Who doesn't like that?
This is also true. So yeah, we can go with that. Okay, cool. All right. Well, we'll go back and forth here on this. So Ron, you've been interested in the Watchmen series coming in on HBO. Irina, what's something you're into right now or really excited about coming?
So I kind of go, the other direction with the things that I'm kind of looking at, more happiness and light. We'll let Ron take the dark side here. I'm looking forward to the Orville coming back. I don't know if anybody knows it, but they just actually changed from Fox to Hulu. So now everybody's going to have to pay to see the 2020 season. I guess Seth MacFarlane had way too much going on and transitioned over, but I've really loved the development of characters and how they've kind of stayed true to that whole sci-fi land with that started with the original Star Trek series.
Yeah, I've watched a couple episodes of that. I got to ask both of y'all, how has he not been sued yet? Either by Star Trek people or by the people that make Galaxy Quest, because that's what this feels like.
It's a good question. Interestingly enough, there's so many actors from Voyager, from the Next Generation, that have made appearances on this show too. I'm wondering about not just copyright infringement, but any sort of contracts that anybody has floating out there. I know Jonathan Frakes even came in and directed an episode.
Well, those guys have to work too. I mean, if Shatner never got sued for all the stuff he did in the 70s, and if Nimoy didn't get sued over basically pretending to be Spock while doing what was the name of that spooky alien show he did on like public television?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I can't remember the name of it, but yeah, he was the host of like a knockoff Unsolved Mysteries kind of show or something. So
yeah. Well, so was Frakes, for that matter.
Yeah, I was going to say, didn't Frakes do that as well, like on Ripley's Believe It or Not or something like that?
I think he did.
No, Frakes was Beyond Belief, Fact or Fiction or something to that.
Oh, there we go. It looked like it was shot on the same set as like The Magician Reveals the Secrets Part 48 or what the hell ever.
Yeah, Nimoy's was In Search Of.
There we go.
That's it.
There we go. Very good. So, yeah, good point. Okay, fair enough. And I guess Seth MacFarlane probably leans heavily on the it's parody, which is covered in copyright stuff. So, because, I mean, how has Family Guy survived? So, these years.
Yeah, he has to, because, and as Ron said, I'm one of those details people. There was one episode that was so similar to like a Wrath of Khan thing, right down to the point where the trumpets playing in the background of the soundtrack were almost the same exact notes that were played when James Horner composed the soundtrack for Wrath of Khan. And it just blew my mind. I looked at my husband and I said, you need to rewind that. And he said, why? I said, because it's the same as Wrath of Khan. It's the same trumpet. It's the same trumpet solo. He said, Irina, you really need a new hobby. I said, no, you got to rewind that. You have to rewind that crap because I need to hear it again. I need to make sure I'm not hearing things. The opening theme is almost the same exact thing as like a combination of Voyager and The Next Generation, which blows my mind. And I think that's why I love it so much. And maybe he hasn't gotten sued because there's nothing like it out there anymore.
True. Well, there's the Star Trek Discovery, which I haven't watched any of, but I am aware of. So.
But it's dark, and it's not reminiscent of the things that people loved about the cheesiness of the original series and Next Generation, and even some of Voyager. It's just not the same.
So it's like the DC to the Orville's Marvel.
Maybe. I just think that it's got some innocence in it to it.
Okay. Well, I am down to watch more of it. It's hard for me to find shows to watch that I'm either, if I'm watching something, it's most of the time watching something for this show, or my wife and I have like the things that we sort of binge and watch together. And so she grew up in a house where you were made to watch Star Trek, so she just sort of refuses all of it now, carte blanche. So I don't know that I can get her to go for it. But I watched a few episodes of the first season and found myself laughing at it enough. I mean, I thought he's definitely put something that's put together by somebody who loves Star Trek and wants to do something like that. And I can always appreciate that kind of stuff. So
one of the things I really love, and maybe we'll get your wife to watch it with you, is the relationship, the banter between the two main characters who are recently divorced. They touch on those realistic marital issues that kind of make you look at each other if you're watching it with your spouse and just laugh because you're like, oh, wait. Yeah, that happens. And that's happened.
I have to tell a funny side story about that. My wife and I went and saw Gone Girl in theaters together because she had read the book and was obsessed with it. And so we went and saw it, and both of us walked out of there going like, we're okay, right? Like, we're good. Okay. We're sure. Like it was, and this is when I also realized that David Fincher was hell-bent on ruining everything that I ever loved. You know, cop buddy movies, marriage, Facebook. He just hates it all. So, playing tricks on your brother at his birthday. Fincher's just going to kill everything. So alien movies, whatever. So anyway, that's my rant about David Fincher. Okay, so we both you guys have talked about some TV shows. Ron, movies, anything coming up trailer-wise that you're real jazzed about?
Well, in my case, one of the things I'm always excited about isn't necessarily... All right, so I've got a couple things I could talk about here, but I'm going to lean into the nostalgia thing, tying back to the Orville, and it's, you know, how it feels like a Star Trek show. One of the things I'm super excited about is the fact that Shudder is going to make a second season of The Last Drive-In with Joe Bob Briggs, the increasingly misnamed Last Drive-In with Joe Bob Briggs. Joe Bob is one of the formative figures in my movie watching life. I used to go over to my grandmother's house and watch Joe Bob's Drive-In Theater on the movie channel because she was the only person I knew that had the movie channel, thanks to the cable company never turning it off after the sneak preview. And I followed him to TNT, and now I enjoyed the first marathon he did on Shudder so much that I went ahead and subscribed to Shudder for the full year. So I'm super jazzed about that. He always brings a lot of cool, a lot of interesting factoids and a lot of cool tidbits to the movies. I enjoy the fact that he breaks into the movies even though on a streaming service you don't have a commercial break. And I enjoy that he keeps to the same commercial break rhythm that they do on broadcast television, which if you ever watch a movie on broadcast television, you'll get the first like half hour of the movie straight to pull you in, to hook you in. Then you get a commercial break. And then as the movie goes on, the commercial breaks come more frequently because you're already hooked in, you're getting to the climax. They know they can have 2 minutes of commercials, 5 minutes of movies, and then 2 more minutes of commercials. So I'm thrilled that that's been as successful to the rest of the general public as it has been for me.
I'm excited about seeing that as well. You got me hooked on watching him again. I didn't really grow up watching him at all. I mean, I was aware of him, but I didn't pay that much attention to him. And then you of course, talked about it a lot. And so I started watching that show on Shudder, and I subscribed monthly as well and enjoy that and have found so much fun things on Shudder too. And just on that note about the way TV movies used to be scheduled and commercial broke down. Like for years, my memories of Jaws 2 are all built off of the ABC Sunday night movie version I taped off of television. Like the way like it breaks and beats and stuff like that. And if I watch the movie now and I'm like, wait a minute, where's the like marquee sign with the cool music? So it's not there. And I have more memories of that. And I think Brian and I even talked about it on the Superman 3 episode we did a long time ago, that I knew that movie from the TV version, which is a much better way to consume Superman 3, by the way, than just trying to watch it all straight through. But anyway, yeah. So that's already been a podcast on another day. So, okay, very cool. All right, Irina, your second offering of the night is up.
Ooh, I'm so excited. So this is my binge watch show right now. A friend of mine introduced me to Russian Doll. I think it's on Netflix. And if you haven't heard of Russian Doll, it's a female version of Groundhog Day with a lot more F-bombs dropped than I ever thought could happen on television. But, it's Netflix, so it doesn't really matter. It's the story of a woman who she just keeps dying. So it's not...
It's Happy Death Day to you?
Right. She dies on her birthday. Every day, every time she dies, she is brought back in a bathroom in front of a mirror. And it's great because she's trying to figure out, okay, why the hell is this happening to me? But she's always restarting at the same moment in her birthday party, questioning, okay, is it the drugs I did with my friends? Is it what I drank? Is it who I was around? And then slowly she sees all different members of this party disappear. So there's different storylines that are brought in. It's the whole process of her trying to figure out, okay, I died going down the stairs last time. Maybe if, everybody stays away from the stairs, I won't die this time. And it's interesting to watch her kind of go through everything. And I never can remember this actress's name. So,
Natasha Lyonne.
Yeah, there you go. You know what? But anyway, she's great. I always found her hilarious in every other thing that she did. But in this, she's like snarky, thick New York accent, big red hair, and just like the complete opposite of other things that I've seen her do. Or maybe it's just amplified.
Sounds like her character from American Pie grown up. That's exactly
no.
What it sounds like.
It's like that It's like that character just blown up and a grown up.
Okay. Well, I'm intrigued. That sounds intriguing. Ron, have you seen this?
I have not, but I'm running out of stuff to like binge watch, so I may have to check it out next time I'm feeding the baby.
So the only problem is there was only 6 episodes right now.
Well, see, that's okay though, because I need like short term things, because right now, like my wife and I binge watched all of Stranger Things season 3, like most of America and apparently half the world did at one point. And then we've been catching up on season 3 of Riverdale that got thrown on Netflix, but we're having a hard time getting through that because that show has gotten bat crazy at this point. So
I've got somebody who will sit down and do a whole cast with you about Riverdale.
I don't think I could do it.
She's 11 and she'll tell you everything. It'll be great.
I think I'm gonna let her run that show on her own. But yeah, so
she would too.
Yeah,
I got lost in that one too. Watching it with the kids, I was like, I can't do it anymore.
Yeah, Rachel and I really enjoyed that one. But so this sounds like something that's right up like our alley and her alley, because I mentioned Happy Death Day to you. I wasn't aware of that movie. Rented it, watched it, loved it. Watched it with my wife, loved it. Ron, you and I've talked about it, and both like the sequel too. So it sounds like it's in the same vein as that kind of thing, which I'm always down for. Funny mystery, is what this sounds like. So. Oh
yeah, I mean it's fabulous. The only problem right now is there's another show that's coming out with the same premise but a man. So.
Well, again, the show is the premise of a movie that I've seen now too. So everybody, there is not only is there nothing new, when there is something new, there's 4 damn versions of it.
Yeah, well, nobody's ever happy. So
as long as it's good, who cares? I mean, I watched 4 Purge movies plus an entire Purge TV series. And they're coming out with more in October, and I'm still into it because I like the general concept.
See, I did not watch the TV series, but I loved the movies. So is the TV series worth going back and checking out?
It's not great, but it's good. It's interesting.
That's kind of like those movies. I mean, that would be exactly the way I would sum every one of them up. They're not great, but they're good. So,
well, I think I agree with that. The one thing, I mean, you know me, both of you know me well enough to know that, there are little things that irk me. The Purge TV show, whoever that damn actress is that played the wife in that, her mouth just made me think that she was absolutely ingenuine, and I couldn't focus on anything else through the entire show. So it didn't matter what was going on for me. I got distracted by just her.
They were like the least interesting part of the show. The couple was the least interesting part of the show to me.
So I'm talking about Hannah Emily Anderson in The Purge. There was just something about her that I didn't like. She wasn't believable. It felt like she was in on the plot, but from the very beginning.
Okay, well, I'm still intrigued enough to go back and watch because I liked the Purge movies, and I didn't know they were coming back for more of this stuff. Are they making more movies, or is it more TV shows you were talking about, Ron?
They're making supposedly they're making another season of the TV series, and I think they're making another movie.
Okay, because the ones with Frank Grillo, I was totally down for. Those are, I think, the better ones of the Purge flicks. But
well, yeah, but we're also going to put Frank Grillo in our remake of Invasion USA. So
this is true. You and I have Ron and I often will just recast movies, usually that we've reviewed with modern stuff over text, and I wish I could record that because some of it is genius. But yeah, Frank Grillo could be a good stand-in for Chuck Norris. I think we both agree. So
I haven't seen him act, but looking at him, he's a good stand-in for anybody.
Well,
he's also
this is why we brought you on the show.
I mean.
You've seen.
All right, Ron. So next thing on your list here as we start to round the halfway point here of sessions.
It ties back into a previous podcast we did with a special guest from the Generation Y podcast. When we did, it wasn't House of a Thousand Corpses, it was The Devil's Rejects. Yeah. Yes.
Oh, I love that movie.
But have you seen the trailer for the latest chapter in The Adventures of the Firefly Family, 3 from Hell?
No, and I just looked it up and I thought, oh my God, how did I miss this?
I don't know, because it dropped early last week in the lead up to San Diego Comic-Con, and it looks pretty amazing. Like it strains disbelief. It strains belief to say that those 3 survived that hail of gunfire at the end of, spoilers for a 10-year-old movie. Well, almost 15-year-old movie at this point, but
yep.
Spoilers for that movie, the hail of gunfire at the end of The Devil's Rejects. But I'm super excited to have those 3 horrible monsters back. And why Bill Moseley has never played Charles Manson in a movie is beyond me.
He might as well just be playing him now. I mean, he looks.
Well, he is, because he's got the Charles Manson's he's got Charles Manson's cadence. He's got Charles Manson's facial expressions. I mean, he used the text line, "I'm the devil and I'm here to do the devil's business," in the previous movie. And yeah, so Quentin Tarantino, why do you not have Bill Moseley being Charles Manson? Ryan Murphy, I know you're going to eventually get around to desecrating the memory of Sharon Tate. So Bill Moseley, ladies and gentlemen.
Look, I am intrigued by this because for the first time in a long time, it looks like something that Rob Zombie has done that I want to see, because I have really turned on him for a while. Like, I saw 31 and just, it was, not only was it disgusting, it was boring as hell. And
well, aren't they all disgusting?
Well, yeah, but it's one thing to be disgusting and not be interesting. And I felt like he had lost something off of his fastball after doing those Halloween movies, because whatever you think of them, like going back in retrospective now, they're both, over 10 years old. They don't really work and they especially don't work as Halloween movies, but they kind of only half work as movies themselves, especially the second one is bonkers. And while I'm intrigued by it and we'll watch it again because I'm trying to wrap my brain around what in the hell he was doing with it, I felt like he just didn't have anything else to do. I was just seeing the same thing again. I see this and I'm like, oh man, this is like we raised the Wild Bunch with a seance or something. And I don't know, it looked good. I was intrigued. I traded messages with our friend Aaron from Generation Y, and he had seen it too. And he said, I didn't know I needed that movie, but I'm really down for it. So I think he's excited about it too. That was a fun episode back from our archives that people can go listen to. But I'm intrigued. I might want to go see that in theaters, which is, it takes something for me to go see a zombie film anyway. But I might drag out and go check that one out because it looks good.
Yeah, I'm super excited by it.
All right, Irina, you're up next.
I'm going to do two things real quick because I feel like I need to mention one that's actually really irritating the crap out of me, which people will find out more of in November. But can we take 30 seconds and talk about how Renee Zellweger is going to play Judy in the Judy Garland movie?
Yeah, only if we have to. Yeah.
Yeah.
You haven't seen this, Ron? Oh, my goodness.
No.
Oh,
no, it hurt.
Yeah.
Before you get started, I have a quick question. Renee Zellweger playing Judy Garland. How long is Judy Garland supposed to have been dead for?
She looks like hell in a handbasket.
I mean, she looked like hell in a handbasket 10 years ago.
No. It's like...
It's bad. Yeah.
It's not even like she goes back and forth. Like she does some young Judy and then goes straight to old Judy. So we are stuck with old, drugged out Judy raising Liza Minnelli for the entire bleeping movie.
Do you want to know what it made me think of? It made me think of the old age makeup they threw on Leah Thompson to be the old mom or the older mom in
Back to the Future too.
Exactly. It's exactly what she's kind of looks like, and it's scary, except that was makeup, and I'm sad to say this person really looks this way now, and
it's so terrible.
It's awful. Look, if the Cats trailer terrifies you, and I think it should terrify all human beings if you've seen it.
It does.
Yeah.
I lost it.
The Judy trailer is just as bad. It's a horror movie. It really is.
You know what? And the worst part is, and I hate to say it, is it's so realistic. Like the way that Renee has aged made her perfect for this part. I do not want to listen to her sing with mothballs in her mouth, but I'm going to say mothballs this time, not cotton balls. But I don't know how. Anyway, that was my 30 seconds of, hey, Ron, this is happening. And now you can go watch it just to terrify yourself.
Are they not going to like dub her singing voice like they did in Empire Records?
Oh, right. No, they're not. Thank God they dubbed her in Empire Records. In November, you'll hear Chicago, and then you'll have to go watch it and listen to it. And it's her singing, and it's like shrieking cats.
It makes me wish I had reached for the gun. That's for sure.
Really, the biggest thing I'm looking forward to is Picard in 2020, because I cannot wait to see Patrick Stewart revive that role. I mean, the premise is that Picard is approached by a strange woman saying that he's the only one who can save her, and he forms a crew, and bam, it's just like that. We have Picard back. I don't know whether you're like Team Star Wars or Team Star Trek, but for me, Jean-Luc Picard needed to come back before we had no Patrick Stewart.
I tend to be Team Star Wars over Team Star Trek, but I have to admit that TNG was a very like formative part of my youth, watching it on TV. So I was a big fan, and that kind of pushed me into Deep Space Nine, and that pushed me into Voyager, and I stuck with Voyager for like 5 seasons, even after it got terrible. So I'm not gonna go subscribe to CBS Online or whatever they're calling their stupid thing because I'm against all that stuff. But I may end up pirating it. So
I may just give you my password. It's fine.
I am Star Trek curious, is what I will say. I've always been a Star Wars guy, but I watched enough Star Trek growing up and did watch a good bit of TNG and appreciate the role that Patrick Stewart brought in Jean-Luc Picard. I may be one of only 4 people on Earth that like Star Trek Generations as a movie. I remember going to see that in theaters and thinking, man, that's the perfect handoff. That was great. And everybody else apparently hates that movie except me. But I
don't think we can talk anymore.
See, that's what I mean. But I haven't seen anything except the dang poster for it. And all I know, is I'm like, this is the influence that John Wick has on popular culture, because now Picard has to have a dog too. And I'm like, if that dog dies in the first episode, then
You're done.
Then I'm gonna know. But yeah, I'm curious about it. I don't know that I want to subscribe to the streaming service either, so I may either borrow a password and see what happens. But we'll see. So
I will say, if Jean-Luc Picard shoots like 200 dudes in this, it will be the best TV show I've ever seen.
now that would be, if he kills somebody with a butter knife, I'm down. So. Because I've been waiting for Jackie Chan to do that for like 100 years, and he never did. And I was like, okay, so
Jackie Chan doesn't kill.
This is right.
Jean-Luc Picard probably kills.
Look, Jean-Luc Picard ices a motherfucker. We all know it, all right? So let's be real.
And if he leaves him alive, Riker will come along behind him and just bash him with a trombone.
But Riker's cold. So especially when he got the beard. God. When Riker's got the beard going, that's his gangster beard. He's set.
Oh God, I love him.
So.
This is just Quentin Tarantino's Star Trek movie.
I am really intrigued by what that might be. Only because I want Samuel L. Jackson to do it so he can be in both franchises. So just because it'll be fun. So and I need him to kill like a space snake, because then the whole world's complete.
I just wanted to say, what does Captain Picard look like while eating some sort of space burger?
There you go,
oh my God, I can't do anything with you guys. The beautiful thing though about Picard is we're going to get Data back, but here's the best part: is Jerry Ryan's coming back as 7 of 9.
Whoa. Which
for any heterosexual man is like the best thing that's ever happened in the world.
I don't know if I go that far, but that's good casting at least.
I don't know. But we're going to get, Deanna Troi and Riker. I don't know whether they're going to be there for a long time, but they are going to be coming back.
What's Will Wheaton doing? Come on,
Those are the only ones I know are like set.
But bringing Data back actually makes a ton of sense, because they were so tied together on that show, like maybe closer than maybe should have been. But yeah, I can see it. So I'm curious, if for nothing more than when it appears, I know that the We Hate Movies guys are going to do impressions of it on their show, and so I'm always down for that. So
I was just waiting. I was about to bring up. I was going to say that We Hate Movies has colored your impression of the Data Picard relationship in a very strange way.
It probably has, because it's been a while since I watched some TNG. But Andrew, Eric, and Chris and Steven have done a number on my memory of a lot of things, and I don't mind saying that, because I will put those guys over all day. So, all right. So, okay, Ron, what's in your final slot? Things that you're interested in, stuff you're jamming on right now.
All right. Well, it's movie related, but it is not a movie directly. It is a podcast that I believe you're the person who told me to check it out. Yep. And it is called Dream Gun Film Reads. It is a bunch of Irish actors and comedians doing funny rewrites of mainstream movies. I just listened to the Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone today, and it was very funny. I'm a big fan of pretty much all of them. They're all really, really, really funny to me. So yeah, Dream Gun Film Reads. I'm jamming through a lot of them. They're only about like an hour and 15, hour and a half each, and they're all pretty uproarious, especially because they only do movies that like everybody knows and everybody has seen.
Yeah, that's the thing, is you can follow it along even if you haven't seen the movie in 10 years. Their Titanic review was that way. Irina, this is right up your alley if you haven't done this, because being someone who's still involved with actors and acting and stuff like this is totally up your alley. It's actors and comedians reading the lines, but then adding like an aside to it. So it's almost like a table read in a Family Guy episode, but funnier.
You know what? I'm really liking the duration of time. As you both know, I have about an hour and 15 minutes to an hour and a half commute to work every day. So I think I found a way to fill that time with something other than, science podcasts.
It's definitely a good break from the norm. I'm glad you dug it, Ron, because I've been a big fan of the Dream Gun film reads for a bit now, and can't wait for new stuff to come out. They only release about once a month. That's sort of their average, and I think because they're all working actors and comedians, and so they can only get together so often. But I follow them on Twitter, and they've been recording stuff or at least performing stuff that I'm like, man, I hope there's a recording of that. I really hope there's a recording of that. So there's some good stuff out there.
And to throw one more thing in, while we're talking about recording things, another podcast I'm really digging lately is Your Favorite Band Sucks. It is it's two guys in Nashville. One of them is Tyler Mahan Coe, who is the son of David Allan Coe, and the other is, I think his name is Mark Mosley. He's been a booker and a musician, and basically they just sit in a room and just trash whatever band they're talking about. They've done, like their first episode was like the Beatles suck. And they went through all the reasons why the Beatles suck. And they've done the Beatles, the Rolling Stones, they've done the Smiths, they've done Weezer, they've done any kind of big name band, Metallica. They did 2 episodes on Madonna.
Well, I mean, she's had like 3 careers, so that's half of it. So,
yeah, and they're absolutely savage to Madonna. Like, it's great, and it is well deserved. Even if it's a band you like, and they've done some bands I really like, it's still great.
Oh, I got to listen to this now. This says right up my alley. I like movie podcasts that tear apart movies that I like too. It's not going to change the way I feel about it. It's fun to hear other people trash something or whatever on it. This sounds right up my alley. I think we've just made your commute even better, Irina.
You did, especially since there's a Beatles episode, because they're least favorite band of mine. So I'm sure I'll enjoy that.
For the record, I am Team Rolling Stones, but I respect the Beatles, but I am Team Stones all the way. So.
Well, I mean, they've got some good stuff if you take out John Lennon.
I mean, if you take away like the creative force.
If you just take him away and let Paul McCartney do his thing, we're fine.
Which Paul? Because there's Paul, and then there was the guy that replaced Paul after he died. Oh, excuse me, my tinfoil hat's interfering with the recording right now. So, okay, Irina, your last thing up for the sessions offering this time.
So the last thing I've got is 2 shows that I'm watching. I was going to say I'm not going to touch on Fear the Walking Dead, Ron, because you and I have 2 massively differing opinions on that show. So I won't go there. I'm going to go with 2 medicine shows that I'm watching. And I'm waiting for the season to start. I think it's the end of the year. The Good Doctor and New Amsterdam. The Good Doctor, I don't know if either of you have taken a peek at it. It's about a young doctor with autism and savant syndrome, and he is now working as a surgical resident, and how he kind of goes through the challenges of being in the real world instead of being sheltered by the doctor who raised him when his parents died. And New Amsterdam is about a doctor who has taken over as medical director at America's oldest public hospital and ends up developing cancer throughout his employment there, and how he kind of handles the bombs that are thrown at him. But both of them very similar writing styles. I'm not going to say that it's like Grey's Anatomy, which needs to be taken off television because it's been going too long. I'm going to go with, it's more like, both of them are more like a combination of ER and House. And if you liked either of those and the problem solving tactics and the stories, then these are 2 that you just can't walk away from.
I liked Freddie Highmore when he was on Bates Motel, even though I didn't like the way that show ended. So I'm down to check this out. I just haven't watched any of it yet. And I liked House a good bit. I watched most of that during its run.
Yeah, so The Good Doctors, it's the same people that wrote House and produced it. So there is that intellectual aspect to it. But when it comes to anything about eyes, as we know, I love eyes and know way too much about them. Don't listen to anything I say about eyes on either of these shows.
I tend to try to not take the medical advice of the shows I watch. But George Clooney did save me from a bad heartburn once. I'm just going to put that out there. So.
Yeah, so I mean, it's great. But I mean, 2 different dynamics, and I'm not going to spoil anything else because I think both of you should just give at least the first episode a try.
I saw one random episode of The Good Doctor, and I enjoyed it. So I do like Freddie Highmore too from Bates Motel, and it was pretty fun.
Well, he's brilliant. His acting ability in this part is particularly brilliant. I don't know who he spent time doing scene studies with, but his portrayal of Savant and autistic is amazing, and I have to give him props for that.
Yeah, I was gonna say I was really impressed with the way he corralled his body language.
Yeah, I mean, it's his lack of eye contact as well that he has with everybody. You really feel that social dissonance between he and everyone around him.
But he's still giving them enough to so the other actors have something to play off of.
Absolutely.
Well, I'm game. I'm going to give that a shot now because that I like that guy. Again, I thought he was perfect as Norman Bates, and Vera Farmiga was perfect as Norma. Like I can't recommend enough the first 4 seasons of Bates Motel. The 5th season, that's another day on Donahue. But those first 4 are amazing, especially the first 3.
Well, now I have to go back and watch Bates Motel because I never had the opportunity to.
You do need to see it. It's worth seeing, especially if you like him. Especially if you like him, because he's really good in it. Ron, I think you'd back me up. He's pretty good in that.
Yeah, he's great. He's revelatory. It's really impressive to see. Again, it ties back to the thing I liked about the one episode of The Good Doctor that I saw. He does a great job of mirroring Anthony Perkins' body language.
Yeah, which is without being a carbon copy of it, which is amazing. I'm going to end the show with something I'm really jazzed about that got dropped late July. Blumhouse threw this out. Ron, you sent it to me on Instagram. So you like the Halloween movies, huh? You like Michael Myers movies. Well, here's 2 more coming. October 2020, October 2021, we're going to get Halloween Kills and Halloween Ends. We're going to get Michael Myers versus Laurie Strode for 2 more chapters. And I had been reading rumors that Jamie Lee Curtis had met with Jason Blum and they agreed to do another movie, but only if David Gordon Green would do it. And he said, I'm only doing it if you let me direct 2 back to back because I'm moving on to other stuff. And apparently Blumhouse said, yes, we like printing money, and because they did with the last one, and they're going to do it. And my question to you two is, we've gone out of our way now with the Halloween series to say we're going to erase all of the history of it to only come back and now we're going to just go and live that history again where it is Laurie Strode versus Michael Myers. I don't know. What do you think about it?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Halloween 2018, so I'm super on board with this too. With these 2 movies, that's why you and I have a difference of opinion on that movie. But I thought just the concept and the idea of a contained 3 movie arc for Michael Myers for Laurie Strode is something that series, as long and complicated as it is, has never really done. So I'm super excited to see how it plays out. And I think it's going to be a good career rehabilitation for David Gordon Green, who, kind of lost his way for a little bit with the stoner comedies, but seems to have rounded into a more of an interesting filmmaker like he was in his early indie drama days.
Yeah, I know he's redoing or he's helming a reboot of Friday Night Lights, which I'm real curious about because I liked the movie, loved the book, loved the TV show. So I'm real curious to see what Peter Berg wants to do with that now with him at the helm. But I didn't hate 2018's Halloween. People can listen to that review coming up in October, by the way. I just had a different feeling about it. And the only thing I'd say in response is that we do have a 3-part Laurie Strode, Michael Myers thing. It's just sort of strung out over 20 years. And so we have 78, 81, and 98. But now we're going to get another one. Danny McBride summed this up best because he co-wrote the last one. He said, Halloween movies are like the choose your own adventure horror series. And I can totally go with that. That's fine. Sometimes I need a little Curse of Thorns. Sometimes I don't. I never need Busta Rhymes, for the record. But, I'm down. I'm going to go see them. I've seen all these other Halloween movies. Why would I skip these? But I liked the way they put that out, though, as yep, you're getting them and you're getting 2 in a row. And this is how it's going to go. Because the original rumor was they were going to put them both out in the same month. And I thought, what a killing idea. Why would you do that? You kill your own box office.
So I have a confession. I have not watched a Halloween movie since 1998. I for some reason, they just lost me. So I guess I may have to go revisit every single one of these movies so I know exactly what you're both referring to at this point.
Or
no, you just need to watch the first one, then the 2018 to be prepared for the last two, because they ignore all of the other stuff.
Yep.
Oh, so I don't need anything else.
You don't. But if you want to know, go back in the archives of Film Strip. You can listen to me and Brian talk about all of them. So, because they're all there. So, Ron's right.
Nothing quite like Halloween, The Curse of Busta Rhymes.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what? It's going to take me just as long to watch the movie as it is to listen to you guys. So I have to decide where time is better spent.
Those are shorter shows, and you can listen to them while you drive. So.
Oh, okay.
I will boost the download numbers, even if it's inside the team. I don't care. So whatever we got to do.
I'm glad you got my playlist figured out for me. Hey, listen to this. I told you to do it. Okay, boss.
Well, we got to try to do something, right? So, well, that's what we've done on Film Strip. I want to tell folks about what's coming up on Film Strip, because this is dropping in July. And in August, going into Labor Day, the weekend of Labor Day, September, we're doing something fun called Summer of Stallone. We picked 3 Stallone one-offs, and I got Brian, Nick, and Ron to each to review one of them with me. We're going to be doing Cobra, Demolition Man, and Cliffhanger. So I can't wait for those to come out, because I think that's going to be one of our more fun and loosely strung together series we've ever done.
Oh, I can't wait for Demolition Man. I love that movie.
I'm just going to tease, folks. We did something very special in the edit of that one, and that's all I'm going to say. It's definitely worth checking out.
As long as you didn't teach us how to use the 3 seashells, I'm good.
No one knows how to do that except Rob Schneider somehow. So it's the one thing he knows, that and copies.
Well, all I gotta say is I'm pretty excited to, get my pizza scissors back. It's gonna be great.
And more of that to come, folks. That's what we've got going on Film Strip. So thanks again, Ron and Irina, for joining me on this initial reboot of the Film Strip Sessions show. Tell folks how they can follow you on the internet should they choose to do so. Ron?
You can follow me on Twitter at Hollywood Ron, but I'm not very particularly interesting. For the real good stuff, I recommend you keep your eyes on denofgeek.com and denofgeek.us. Feel free to go check out that 3,500 words I wrote about Alan Moore and the incredibly long journey of Watchmen to both the silver screen and to the small screen. Check that out. I spend a lot of time on that, and the top comment is currently someone telling me basically that I'm an idiot because I mentioned that Alan Moore likes money, and a lot of his disputes with DC and Marvel have been over quote unquote character rights, which means, the finger thing means the money.
All right, Irina, how can folks follow you on the internet?
You can also find me on Twitter at iSing, EYESING, or the Instagram at iNerd, I.nerd. Again, EYE, just because there's a little nerd in me here that loves eyeballs. Or head over to Winchester Little Theater on Facebook.
Fantastic. And folks, you can follow the Film Strip Show at Film Strip Pod or follow me on Twitter at JSkipworth. We appreciate the support. If you like the show, please leave us a positive review wherever you find it and share the show on your social media. It helps us get the word out and increase the audience size. So until next time, for Ron and Irina, I'm Jay. Thanks for listening to Film Strip Sessions.